What's up everyone, China Cycling here with a review of this, the brand new Insta360 Go3S. So as the name suggests, this is an update to the Go3 that came out last year. So it's the same format as before, a tiny small camera that is super easy to put everywhere, super lightweight, and then a big action pod which has your screen on it to control all your shooting and stuff, etc. And magnets everywhere. As far as I can tell, this thing is basically designed for cyclists. You know, it's super small, it's super lightweight, easy to mount in lots of places, and now the new one is 4K. It has gotten 4 grams heavier than the old one, which is about the only disadvantage I can find with it, but let's see what it can do. So what is the Insta360 Go3S? The Go series has always been Insta360's kind of like mini camera that's super convenient to put in lots of places. But because it was so mini and compact before, the image quality, like it couldn't really stack up against bigger like dedicated action cameras. But as you just saw from the footage I rolled in that montage, now this thing with its 4K, I think it can go head to head with almost any action camera. So now you have the best of both worlds, like a really small portable camera, but with kick-ass image quality to go with it. So this is great for racing because number one, if you just put in just the action pod on the front of your bike or on your helmet, that is super small. You know, you don't have to worry about aero losses with something this small. But if you do want to get a longer race, then you can put it in the action pod and the battery life will go up. But another feature which makes this perfect for racing is it has a timer function. So basically, before the race starts, you can set the timer and it will start recording at that time. Now, I used some of these in the recent video I did, link up here, when I was filming our UCI Conti race team in a recent race. So super convenient because every big race has a race book and it will tell you what time it's predicted to finish. I just set the time to start recording 30 minutes before the end of the race, and boom, I got perfect footage of the whole lead out train for our team sprint finish. So super cool feature. But yeah, let's have a detailed look. Okay, so let's kind of go through the headline features one by one. So number one is just lightweight and portable. If you've seen my Go videos before, you'll know this thing comes out, there's tiny mounts for it you can put anywhere on your bike, on your helmet, on your person. That's super convenient. Even in the action pod itself, it's still small and convenient and light and stuff, but yeah, that is the big main party trick feature of the Go series. The second main feature is now the new improved resolution, 4K, yay. Again, it's just going to look that much crisper, and then if you do want to zoom in and crop it and stuff, it's a lot better to do with that with the 4K than the previous 2.7K. The third main feature I'm going to talk about is just magnets. Now, magnets are so cool. Basically, the whole system revolves around magnets. The action pod to other mounts can be done via magnet, and then you have these little release clips that you just get it on and off. The actual unit itself, the camera can use the same mounts. So again, you just put it on here and boom, you now have it on a small, tiny little mount like this. And then the cool thing about that is, you know, you can keep one of these mounts on your helmet, one of them on your bike, and just quickly go between them. Even as you're riding, 2 fingers, for the little clip so it's not going to fall off accidentally, take it off and then put it maybe back in the action pod that is dangling from your handlebar. So super cool, super easy. Obviously when you're riding you've got sweaty fingers and stuff, so the magnets really help just to suck it onto the mount and so you're not fiddling around with like screws and stuff. I love this system, it works really well. Like I say, buy a few of these extra quick release mounts and just keep them mounted in different places. One on your helmet, one under your handlebar, maybe one on your saddle looking backwards, and then you can quickly put the camera between position and position to get some interesting shots as you ride. So magnets, super cool. The next big feature I want to talk about is the FlowState stabilization. So I take this on lots of gravel rides, it's on the bike mounted, so even if the road surface is super bumpy, the bike's jumping all over the place, the footage still stays super smooth. The next feature I want to talk about is the Garmin stats integration. So this was introduced in the X4. I did a review on that a few months ago, I think. And basically it's the ability that if you have a Garmin device or if you have an Apple Watch that you're using to track your activity, you can easily put the stats from your activity into the footage using the app. So it basically syncs with your Garmin account, and then at the time the video file was taken, it'll look in your Garmin account if you're riding your bike at that time, and then take the stats from that bike ride and put it into your footage. It's super seamless, super easy, great feature. Next feature to talk about is the action pod itself. So like I said, this is just super convenient because you can have the unit on itself like this to make footage super convenient, super easy, super small, or you can put it in the action pod, and when it's in the action pod, you get more battery life and a bit of a, an easier thing to hold in your hands or whatever. But the best thing, obviously the action pod has your screen on here, so you can either see what you're recording, see what you just recorded, or go through your settings. But the two actually communicate to each other wirelessly. So you can see what the camera sees on the action pod, even when the camera isn't in the action pod. So right here like this, I can see now on the screen what the camera can see. Obviously that's super cool because if this is mounted on the saddle behind you looking backwards, I can see if I'm recording, I can see what I'm recording, I can start the recording, I can stop recording. So yeah, super dope feature, the action pod. Next feature is it's now integrated with the Apple FindMy network. So I'm not an Apple user, but if you're an Apple user and you're using AirTags or the FindMy, the Apple FindMy device stuff, that is now integrated with this. Because obviously, with something so small, especially in this new stealthy black color, you may be able to get it lost. So being able to use your iPhone to find where it is a cool feature. Next feature is the different fields of view that we have on here. So they have something called Action View and Mega View, and basically these are two different fields of view you can use depending on like what kind of sport you're shooting and stuff. One of them basically takes more of this frame and squashes it down a bit so you can see more of what's going on, but there's a little bit of distortion. Or you can just have a more traditional view that's pretty wide with no distortion. So you can change all of those settings on the fly, on the screen, super easy. And yeah, it's just good to give you more choices. Next thing to talk about is just the battery life on this thing. So for something so small, you think it would have terrible battery life, but just the unit on its own like this has about 38 minutes of battery life, which is pretty cool, obviously. Usually a quick race is maybe an hour, so not enough for a full quick race, but because it's just on your helmet or whatever, you can press the start recording, press the stop recording. You can even do like after the fact recording, so something happens, you press the button and it records what just happened. That's all super cool. But if you want to be lazy and just keep it running the whole time, if you put it in the action pod, the battery life goes up to 140 minutes. So over 2 hours of battery life, that's going to be enough for most of your races. If it is a long stage race, like I said, you got a 200-kilometer stage race and you just want to capture the end, then like I said, you can use the timer function, set it to like an hour before the end, and you'll easily capture the end of the race. So huge battery life. Next feature I want to talk about is what they call Motion ND. So without going too geeky, you can put ND filters on cameras like this, which slows the shutter speed down and gives you motion blur. But then if the camera is bumping around a bit, it's going to get motion blurry on all the axes and the footage is going to look a bit jittery. So Insta360 has a solution that they call Motion ND, which is basically adding an ND filter in post. So after the fact, in the Insta360 app on the phone or the Insta360 Studio on the PC, you can add basically what is like fake motion blur. And that's just a cool way to like make it look like you're going faster, but also take off some of the sharpness, the digital sharpness that you get from small action cameras. Super cool. It's something you've been able to do in programs like Adobe After Effects for a long time, but that is really CPU intensive and it, you need your computer to do it. Whereas this Motion ND, it's a lot quicker. It's just one button in the app or in the computer program, and yeah, adds your motion blur. Obviously, with this being called the 3S, it's like an upgrade of the 3, so there's been lots of fine tuning and tweaking all around. They've made improvements to things like the noise reduction, so the noise reduction algorithm has been played with a bit to make it even better. The waterproofing, I think it can go a few meters lower than it can go before. Only the camera itself is waterproof, not the action pod, so if you are going underwater, make sure you only take this. But yeah, all of these small refinements that Insta360 have been doing is just making it a better product overall. But then because this is like a small incremental update, let's say, I do love like the philosophy Insta360 have taken, and especially with things like backwards compatibility. So the camera is backwards compatible with the action pod. So if you just want to buy the camera because you already have the old action pod, you can totally do that. That's a cool thing. Like lots of companies, they try to screw over the consumers by not making it backwards compatible so you can buy a whole new thing. But you already have this. This is basically just the battery and the screen, and that hasn't really changed. Only the sensor's changed. So super cool that Insta360 have made it backwards compatible. I hate it when brands shaft their loyal consumers. This is the way that if you bought the 3 just a year ago or so, you're not getting shafted. You can just buy the updated camera and put that in the old action pod. Super cool move of Insta360. Give them a big thumbs up for that. Another thing they need a thumbs up for is the last feature is the price. So they haven't raised the price compared to the old one at all. Again, most brands, when they bring out a new updated version, they use it as an excuse to kind of like slowly have some price creep. But for this, the 64 gig version is still just $399 US. Super cool. I love when brands do things like this. You know, brands have so many opportunities to screw the consumers over, and so when a brand doesn't take those opportunities, I think it deserves a thumbs up. So very cool, Insta360. So who do I think this camera is for? So now Insta360 have basically 2 new cameras, right? There's the X4 I reviewed last time, which is their 360 camera, and then there's this, which is like their more traditional, portable, 2-dimensional action camera. Which one should you get? Which one's for who? I'd say the X4, the 360 camera, is more for like your content creator or your casual rider who wants to get more interesting shots from different angles and the whole unique 360 thing. But I'd say the Go series is more for like your racer or your person who's more focused on the riding side of things but wants to capture the rides. Why do I say that? Number one, the portability of this. As I said, putting it on the front of your bike or your helmet, it's not going to be a huge drag to your aero, whereas the Insta360 camera, to get a good view on your helmet, you have to put it on your helmet like a Teletubby, and no one's really going to want to do that in a race, right? So also I'd say the Go series is a bit more rugged, a bit more, you know, robust, especially now these lens covers are actually removable. So if you do scratch your lens, you can actually just replace the lens cover itself, which is a cool thing. Obviously the X4 also has its lens guards, lens protectors and stuff like that, but I just think the very nature of this, it's more of a rugged kind of camera. So if you're a content creator, if you want to make really beautiful stuff and take time over it and take your time about recomposing shots in post, get the 360 camera, get the X4. But if you want something that's like, you see what you shoot, you get it, you're rough and ready, more for your racer, go for the Go series. Or if you want to be totally baller, get both. As always, all of the links are in the description below. You can check out my review of the X4 from a few months back, or check out the video I made, The Spirit of Cycling, the short documentary. I used footage from this in that documentary, so yeah, I use these products all the time. Insta360 are a long-time sponsor of the channel, but as I say in all of my Insta360 videos, I was a paying customer before I started working with them, and I couldn't be happier than I am now working with them. So yeah, do check out the links in the description. At certain times of the year, using my link will get you free gifts and stuff, but the deals are always changing as the years go on, so I'm not going to go into specifics in case you're watching this video at a later time, but check out the description below. It should have details down there. I put all my Insta360 videos into a playlist, which you can check out here. At this point, I've reviewed so many of the cameras, and there's a whole bunch of knowledge there. I go much more into depth in the other videos. This has just been a quick overview on the Go3S, but if you don't want to see more details on the other cameras, check out that playlist.